Hi guys, and welcome to translating verbal phrases into algebraic expressions. So you'll see there's the big long directions here, which looks kind of complicated, but really all it means is you are just really translating from English into math, basically. We can always think of math as kind of a language, and remember, mathematicians are really lazy. So instead of writing this whole thing out, instead of having to write all of these words, the sum of a number b and 9, we like to just do symbols for things to make them a lot shorter. Alright, so the first thing we always do is we look for what operation is going on here. Remember, operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, those kinds of things. And so this word sum is going to tell us that the operation is plus, because sum always means plus. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write down our plus sign. Now, 90% of the time, the rest of the problem is just going to fall really easily into place because you just put things around the plus sign in whatever order they're in here. So in this problem, we can do that. So we can put that number b. Remember, when it says a number b, really all it's talking about there is just that variable b, because they just want to remind you that the variable really is a number and not just somehow the letter b getting into your math. So the sum of a number b and 9 is just going to turn into b plus 9, and that's our whole answer there. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. So the quotient of 12 and a number n. Now here, quotient is kind of a weird word that we're not used to seeing. Quotient just means division. Okay, so that's one you just kind of have to remember. So quotient is division. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a division sign. Now remember, there are lots of different ways that we can write division. I like to write them as fractions because as you go on, you want to become less and less afraid of fractions because they're going to be really helpful. So we have the quotient of 12 and a number n. The first thing is going to go on top, so that 12 is going to go on top there. And then a number n is just going to put our n on the bottom. And that's our whole answer there. Now, these next two are a little bit more difficult. So here we have 8 times the difference of x and 5. So the first thing that we see here is we have two different operations. We have times, which is multiplication, and we have difference, which is subtraction. Now, whenever we see 8 times and then some big long thing after it, that means that big long thing after it is going to end up being in parentheses. So we're going to deal with this difference part first. So we're going to put our subtraction sign, and then just like we did in these other two, difference just means subtraction, and we're going to go in the same order. So we have x minus 5. Okay, so that's the difference of x and 5. And so now we're going to put that in parentheses, and so now we just have 8 times that, and so we're going to put the 8 outside to show that it's being multiplied. Alright, so if it said 8 times a number, so it said the difference of 8 times a number x and 5, then we would have 8x minus 5, but here it's 8 times the difference of x and 5, and so that difference in the word order is going to mean that we are going to put that difference with the x and the 5 and not really with the 8. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Now here we have lots of tricky things coming on. So we've got 6 less than 5 times a number y. Now this place, this less, well, that's actually the time when we were talking about when everything's going to be reversed, okay? So less means subtraction, so go ahead and put that there. Less means subtraction. And then we've got 6 and then 5 times a number y. So because we're using less, instead of that 6 coming first, it's actually going to come second. So we're going to go ahead and put that 6 over here. And then the rest of it is we have 5 times the number y, and we can just write that as 5y, and that's what's going to go out front here. So the tricky thing is that with less, we have to kind of switch the order that we want things to go in.